The two siblings were relaxing on the beach, and then they both decided to start swimming in the crystal clear water. Inside the building, another kaleidoscopic image was clearly visible through the window. Ren opened her eyes, feeling black liquid dripping from her right eye. She sat on the floor, surrounded by empty plastic pipettes. A countdown timer showed that the OtherLife event would air in 6 days. The voiceover began as Ren sat for an interview with the TDA, a drug administration agency. The interviewer commented on Ren's remarkable academic record, which ended 4 years ago. Ren explained that it was because of an accident where her brother almost drowned. The interviewer expressed condolences, but Ren quickly clarified that her brother survived the incident. The conversation then shifted to OtherLife technology, which was hard to classify. Ren described it not as a drug but as biological software that allows a person to program new memories, indistinguishable from reality, even at a chemical level. Ren visited her brother, who was now in a coma at the hospital. She prepared a laptop and a headband device to read her brother's brainwaves before using another pipette to drop black liquid into her eye. Then, Ren was on a train, rejecting a call from her father, Robert, before finally arriving at a busy workplace. Her colleague Byron told her to delete the consent forms in her queue. Back in OtherLife, Ren jumped out of a plane and parachuted to the ground before waking up in a testing room with Byron. Clips from the interview revealed that Ren's father had long been vocal about the potential dangers of prolonged exposure to this technology. He worried that the physical symptoms could include seizures and brain death. Ren emphasized that there were risks, as the misuse of any substance could be harmful. Ren explained more about the technology as she tested a hiking experience. She described it as a script followed by the brain, just as the brain follows a memory, utilizing parts of the subconscious to create a perfect day. However, she also added that the likelihood of this technology lasting longer than that was very slim. Ren tested a snowboarding experience, where she had to climb a snowy mountain before snowboarding down the slopes. But the experience kept looping, bringing her back to the cabin at the start of the day. She felt trapped as the settings warped and changes around her continued, until Byron eventually managed to pull her out. By then, 6 days had passed within the experience. Ren insisted she could fix the existing code, and they could still proceed with the technology. The snowboarding experience was believed to be a highly marketable product. At a sales meeting, Sam, one of OtherLife's co-founders alongside Ren, presented the concept of OtherLife to potential buyers. Sam explained how the technology allowed people to experience incredible adventures, which could be enjoyed before work or during a lunch break. He elaborated that OtherLife wasn't just a simulation, but a way to add years of experiences to someone's life. Sam ended the presentation by asking, "What would you like to do with OtherLife?" When Ren arrived, Sam introduced her as one of the co-founders and asked her to elaborate on the scientific side of the technology. However, after the meeting, Sam and Ren disagreed on what the company needed to grow. After leaving the meeting, Ren met Danny, who was waiting outside. It turned out Danny had forgotten about a date they had planned. Ren apologized but told Danny he needed to get back to work. Back in the interviewer read a report stating that prolonged use of OtherLife could cause users to become detached from reality. They highlighted how such experiences could feel deeply isolating. Ren and Byron worked late into the night to perfect the snowboarding experience in OtherLife. The countdown timer showed that OtherLife would go live in about 5 days. Ren eventually found an error in the code and tested a new version that ran smoothly without issues. They continued to work hard late into the night. Byron asked how many tests Ren had done, and she replied 482, which she compared to roughly 20 days in OtherLife for every single day in the real world. Danny arrived to deliver a report Sam had requested about the long-term use of OtherLife. Ren revealed she didn't know about the report until she read it. She also asked Byron not to approach Sam behind her back. Byron speculated that the recursive error they encountered could be the key to longer simulations. Byron and Danny decided to go out for drinks, while Ren stayed behind to keep working. Ren ran the swimming simulation with her brother again, surrounded by empty pipettes from the tests she conducted. She recorded the results of the 340th test and noted that more testing was still needed. The interviewer on the program revisited the topic of OtherLife's medical applications for memory disorders and the potential moral issues, considering that the technology could implant ideas into people's minds. Ren insisted that she wasn't thinking about any applications beyond what currently existed. Ren returned to her brother's bedside to try OtherLife on herself again. Her eyes twitched, and she felt a surge of hope. When a nurse entered, Ren quickly hid the technology and asked about her eye twitching. The nurse explained that such things sometimes happened. Afterward, Ren went home and reviewed the test data she had collected. Byron and Danny called her to talk about their night out, while Ren received an email from her father informing her that her brother's life support would be disconnected. The next day, Ren visited her father at the university where he taught. They sat down and began discussing OtherLife, the morality behind it, the progress that had been made, and how the technology could help her brother. Her father appeared concerned about the potential for errors, but Ren kept reassuring him that it was only a matter of bad code. Ren argued that depression, anxiety, and other mental issues could also simply be errors in code, though her father countered that the human brain was far more complex than that. Tensions escalated as Ren accused her father of giving up on her brother. Ren claimed that if her brother were conscious, all he needed was a way to escape his current situation. Her father calmly stated that he could unplug her brother's life support without consent, but all he needed was Ren's support. Angrily, Ren stormed off to work, overwhelmed by feelings of disappointment and frustration. At the office, Ren asked Cass, a colleague, for help removing some files from the system. Meanwhile, Sam and Byron began noticing that the stock of nanites they had was much higher than the number of tests previously reported. They grew curious about the simulations Ren was using, but Ren simply replied that it was still in an experimental phase. Byron then left, leaving Ren and Sam to talk alone. Sam proposed using OtherLife as a rehabilitation tool, allowing people to serve their sentences in a matter of minutes. However, Ren rejected the idea, and Sam got angry, yelling at her to refocus on developing the actual product. Upset, Ren walked out. Outside the office, Ren ran into Danny. Although Ren tried to find out what was wrong, Danny preferred not to talk about it. Afterward, Ren showed Danny the snowboarding experience. They discussed how everything, including memories, is a result of chemicals in the brain. Danny expressed how shocked he was that the experience felt so real. While Ren was checking her phone, a curious Danny took a pipette from her bag and tried it, thinking it was part of the same snowboarding experience. Instead of feeling the thrill of snowboarding, he entered one of Ren's experiments, where he saw himself swimming with her brother. Danny began convulsing and wouldn't wake up. Panicking, Ren called an ambulance immediately. At that time, the countdown to OtherLife's launch was only about 5 days away. Ren and Sam sat with their legal advisor, who quickly corrected them when they referred to OtherLife as a drug. Ren explained that it was actually software, not a drug as they had assumed. Afterward, Sam decided to talk to Ren privately, asking her about the experience that led to Danny's death. Ren tried to explain that every other experience had been tested and approved repeatedly, except for that one, which only she had tested. In an interview, the interviewer asked Ren about her ambitions for the technology, but Ren chose not to answer. To keep Ren out of prison, Sam proposed a deal. Ren wouldn't face charges, but she would have to agree to become a test subject and spend 1 year living in OtherLife. Sam urged her to accept the offer to save the company, but Ren refused. She began to realize that Sam was still planning to use the technology in a more restricted way behind her back. Sam kept pushing, saying that 1 minute of Ren's life in the real world was worth more than the risk of killing someone with an untested sample. Eventually, Ren agreed. In the following days, Ren, Sam, Byron, and a few other officials went to the testing room. The 365-day trial felt much longer than the usual 24-hour simulations. Feeling nervous, Ren asked Byron if everything had been thoroughly checked. After Byron put her to sleep, Ren woke up in a strange room with one wall displaying a large screen showing the number 01. She could hear an electronic humming sound coming from the number, as if time had begun counting. The room was equipped with a sleeping mat, a toilet, a tablet, a pen, and some basic supplies like food, water, and a shower. Her days started with a routine of exercise, eating, and writing on the tablet about ways to improve the room. However, Ren soon remembered that the notes couldn't be read by anyone but her. When her room was reset the next day, the light turned red, and the number on the screen changed to 02. Memories of Danny falling and hitting his head on the wall came flooding back to her. On the third day, Ren tried to distract herself by humming and poking her fingers through the floor grates. On the 5th day, memories of swimming with her brother resurfaced. She recalled losing her brother and seeing his body washed ashore on the beach. Ren promised herself that she would never forget him. Ren began writing notes about people waking up from long sleep or comas and how they slowly recovered over time. She wrestled with her own thoughts, questioning whether her brother was truly gone and if it was possible to restore life using the programming technology they had created. Finally, day 365 arrived, and Ren waited anxiously as the lights in her room started to turn red. But instead of being released, the room reset back to 01. Panic set in as Ren realized that the escape plan she had carefully devised had failed. Unable to control her emotions, she began screaming and breaking items in the room. Eventually, she collapsed onto the floor, exhausted and devastated, but then she heard the sound of wind. Ren opened a hatch in the floor and found a narrow gap that she managed to push through. Through the gap, she discovered a piece of plastic, which she tore open to climb into a new space. It was a large warehouse filled with other cells covered in plastic tarps. There, she found a storage area for the food and water she had consumed, a monitoring room, and a guard's desk. As soon as the guard returned to his desk and saw Ren, she immediately sprinted toward the desk to grab the keys and a coat, planning her escape. Summoning all the courage she had left, Ren stole the guard's truck and started her getaway. She eventually found herself walking along a busy highway, surrounded by numerous Life Beyond advertisements and people who seemed to recognize her. When she arrived at a hospital, Ren called to ask about her brother's condition, but upon returning to her workplace, everything looked abandoned. Ren bought some new clothes and accidentally spotted a magazine cover featuring Sam's face on the front. When she went to the police station, they confirmed that a missing person report had been filed for her, but to her surprise, Ren was listed as having resided in Italy for the past year. Ren tried to explain what had actually happened with Life Beyond, even revealing that she was one of its founders. However, the police couldn't find any evidence to support her claims. When they inspected the cell where Ren had been held, all they found were the remnants of a destroyed room. When Ren checked her apartment, she discovered that someone else had been living there for the past year, and the front desk staff refused to grant her access to retrieve her belongings. Meanwhile, Sam arrived at the building, promising to take her somewhere safer. However, the same staff member denied Sam entry to the building, and Ren worked to avoid being seen by him. Thankfully, she managed to slip out unnoticed by Sam. Ren then sought help from Cass, who happily let her in and offered her food. Cass explained that their colleagues believed Ren had cashed out her money and fled to Italy without telling anyone. At the same time, Ren learned that Danny was still alive, and they finally reunited. The three of them met at a restaurant, where Danny shared his experience during the Life Beyond simulation, particularly the sensation of drowning in water. He explained how he eventually woke up in a hospital and underwent a series of tests over the course of a week, but ultimately everything turned out fine. The launch of Life Beyond went smoothly. The virtual confinement had now become the backbone of the company, with proposals to extend simulation durations to decades or even centuries. Ren felt the need to uncover more about what had truly happened, and Danny urged her to involve the media or run for office to let others know. Ren eventually revealed that she had registered her father's previously rejected patent in the hope of helping her brother. Unfortunately, the patent had now been stolen by Sam. Using Cass's ID badge, Ren and Danny sneaked into the Life Beyond building to retrieve her crucial data. They managed to locate Byron's office, and Danny restrained him while Ren used the computer terminal there. Ren successfully found the hard drive they were looking for and took it, but before they could escape, Byron managed to alert the authorities. In a panic, Ren struck Byron and the two fled. Although they escaped, Cass unfortunately was captured by the arriving authorities. Ren explained that they would need a Life Beyond printer for their plans, but since most of the equipment was inside the company building, they decided to leave the city and head to Robert's house. When they arrived, they found the house empty. Wasting no time, Ren got to work. The next morning, Ren woke up at her desk, and she and Danny took a moment to observe their surroundings over breakfast. Ren apologized to him, and Danny forgave her. The following morning, Ren woke to the sound of her father returning home. She went to talk to him and told him about how Sam had stolen his work. That was also when Ren realized that her father was the one who had filed the missing person report for her. Back at the printer, Ren explained the swimming simulation. She shared that when Danny drank the substance, he experienced the sensation of drowning underwater, unknowingly choosing that path as his simulation route. Ren's purpose in designing this experience was to give Jared multiple branching choices, one of which would allow him to survive and wake up. Ren also expressed her concerns about how the company might perfect this technology to a dangerously addictive level, similar to drugs. Hearing this, Robert said he would contact the TDA to file a safety challenge, which would bind Sam in a review process for a while, giving them the chance to resolve things. Afterward, Ren went to the hospital to give it to her brother. Moments later he woke up, and Ren was overjoyed. However, the joy quickly turned to horror as her brother began uncontrollably seizing. Ren hesitated, crying, and eventually removed the life support equipment from his body. Ren stayed by her brother's side at the hospital all night until Sam approached her. Sam described how her brother had chosen to live in the dream world rather than return to reality. Ren started seeing flashes of the testing room, people screaming and confused, with Byron urging her to wake up. Suddenly, the hospital vanished, and Ren found herself back on the beach, alone. She finally realized she was still inside life beyond. Without hesitation, Ren walked into the water and let the waves crash over her. The water morphed into a kaleidoscopic image with distorted sounds, eventually turning red. Ren woke up in the testing room, immediately punching Sam before trying to destroy the available recordings. Afterward, Ren managed to calm herself, sitting down to reflect on her brother, her interactions with her father, and Danny. During an interview, Ren answered questions about her ambitions, revealing that she wanted to give people the chance to live experiences they might never have known otherwise. Sam and Ren talked afterward. Ren apologized for hitting him and revealed that she planned to resign from the company to focus on research and development. Sam agreed to leave the company with her, but insisted on retaining his patent rights. This angered Sam, who threw items off his desk as Ren left. Ren then attended Danny's funeral, where his body was cremated. There she spoke with her father about Sam and asked him to accompany her to the hospital. However, before Ren could reach the hospital, she received a call from Sam. He said he needed to show her something in person, so she returned to the office and was greeted by items being packed up there. Inside the office, Ren found Sam and Byron reviewing the experiences they had created. They realized that Ren had successfully escaped from Life Beyond's prison and became excited about the idea as a potentially groundbreaking interactive experience. However, Ren refused to help them further and tried to leave. Sam convinced Ren to sit down for a moment while he attempted to explain why she needed to help. But shortly after, Sam tried to force her back into the same experience, which was clearly distressing for her. At first, Byron hesitated to get involved, but Sam persuaded him, saying, "The sooner you help, the sooner Ren can return to us." That was enough to convince Byron, and he began setting up the experience. Ren once again found herself trapped in the prison, where she started reflecting on her way out. She struggled hard and eventually managed to wake up on her own. As soon as she woke up, she wiped the fluid from her cheeks, and then forced Sam to enter the same experience himself. Ren and Byron watched as Sam went through his days until the system started to crash, and they realized that if they didn't wake him up soon, Sam might die. However, Ren chose to wait until Sam completed the full 365 days plus one, just as she had experienced before. Eventually, Sam woke up, and Ren, along with Byron, left him sobbing in the chair, struggling to process everything. Afterward, Ren met her father at the hospital, and together they mourned her sibling's death. Ren then returned to the bridge by the beach, gazing at the calm sea, reflecting on everything that had happened.